So for the entirety of our married lives, Tammy and I have lived in the same house. And so that's 20 years for me, 30 years for Tammy. She was living there when we got married. So we bought a new house, and after we knew that, or we were pretty sure that we had the house with our offer, I started thinking about all the work that was going to have to go into this place, and I thought it would be interesting to document the process, because I've never done anything like this before, and chances are at my age it's not going to happen again. So why not make a series of episodes of doing the house from start to finish. So I thought, you know, it would be nice for my own sake and for anybody who wanted to watch the progress of it, and maybe, you know, there might be something therapeutic about from time to time sitting here and talking to the camera like a weirdo, like I'm doing now. We've been in Auburn, like I said, for as long as we've been married, and the house that we bought is in Browns Point. It was built in 1950, and not a whole lot done to it since then. You might see some stuff around me that looks a little older, but pretty much any kind of home repair or improvement that you can think of is going to need to be done to this house. We had always visualized moving somewhere either on the water or with a view of the water, and as most of you know, a lot of times you don't get to do stuff like that until all your kids are out of the house, and they are. So here we go. And we had thought, you know, well, it's just the two of us, so we're going to downsize, we're going to simplify. But that didn't really happen. We actually ended up in a bigger house than what we are now. Part of that is we have to take into account Tammy's business. She often has 2 to 3 people working at any given time, and some that work at home. So we ran poor Ebony ragged for probably about 3 years, trying to find a place that would work. And so as the old adage goes, we had to find a place that was the worst house in the best neighborhood, and that's kind of what we got. I don't know if I would call it the worst house. We've definitely looked at some dives in this search. This one is not necessarily like that. It's just it hasn't been maintained. The people who owned the house before us bought the house in the 60s, and both the husband and the wife passed away in this house, and all 5 kids were raised here and grew up here, and so it's just been pretty much as it is for all those years, from what I can tell and from talking to the previous owners. So there's a lot to do. There's the downstairs is covered in old knotty pine from the 1950s wood paneling. There's an old refrigerator down there from the 50s. There's a ton of space and just kind of weird areas that we'd like to open up. We were here yesterday and we ripped up the carpet, and we thought for sure, at least upstairs, that there would be hardwood floors underneath the carpet since the place was built in 1950. That turns out to be not the case. There's nothing but subfloor, so we got to get flooring for the upstairs. Downstairs, we're thinking just ripping out the carpet since it's on the slab, and do polished concrete, and maybe it'll look nice and it'll save us a little money, and we can just put throw rugs everywhere down there. But also, with the house being built in 1950, there's knob and tube wiring throughout the house, and that's just not going to work in a modern house, especially when you're running a business, because none of the outlets are grounded. They're the old style without the third prong in there for grounding. And with Tammy's business and with my love of computers and electronics, we have any number of things that are going to be plugged in, and that type of wiring just isn't going to work for me. So that's going to be, you know, one big expense right off the bat. All the windows are going to have to be replaced. Obviously downstairs where all the knotty pine is, when that gets pulled out, it's going to be drywall, so that's going to be a big chunk of money. The plumbing is it's a mix of copper and galvanized, so I'm looking at, do I want to swap out the galvanized at least and leave the copper, put PEX in place of the galvanized? I don't know. All this is stuff that we're going to find out. So it kind of starts with getting the walls taken off, because once I do that, then the electrical can be brought in. The quote on the electrical is obviously a lot cheaper if the guy can come in and the walls are all opened up already. So we'll kind of go from there. But it's going to be an adventure. I'm sure it's not going to be easy. I'm kind of excited and scared to death at the same time, but you know, that's what life is, right? You do something like this and you find out as you go along. But hopefully As we go about it, you'll see the transformation, and maybe if you're looking to do something like that, maybe you'll be inspired, or maybe you'll have ideas. We're certainly open to ideas. If anybody ever wants to watching this, if they want to email or call and say, hey, try this or try that, we're definitely open to it. It should all be very entertaining for anybody who's not the one owning the house and putting the money into it. So that's kind of the story of what we're doing. This is obviously just the beginning. We love the area, we love the neighborhood, we love the view that we have. You get the view from the top and bottom. And so when I have these moments of being kind of scared of this, everything that needs to be done, I kind of I look out the window here, and I know why I'm here. So hope everybody stays tuned, and we'll see what happens.